we have, it is now 5:45, and I know that there are people who are here wishing to speak, address the county commission for that. How many of those are there, just so I can see a show of hands? All right, just 4 people. Well, then if you guys are all right with that, I'm gonna wait about 4 or 5 more minutes, and then that will give you, 2 minutes, and that will still be able to start on time. You guys good? Does that sound okay, or does anybody think they'll need more? All right, thank you. I'll wait just a couple more minutes and give you all a chance. Thank you. 4 of you all have made a mention, someone else may have come in. Let me again, can I see a show of hands if you wanted to speak? 1, 2, 3, 4. Does it matter who would like to go first? I'll give you, all right, if you'll go ahead first, sir, if you'll just come right up here. I'll give you 2 minutes, and what I will do is I'll give you 10 seconds, if there's 10 seconds left, going on, and then I'll kind of, I guess we'll call it ringing of the bell. I'll just sort of be the official timekeeper here.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, Chairman, council members, I thank y'all for the chance and opportunity to speak. I'm like 99.9 of these people here because we oppose wheel tax. And there's so many reasons, there's so many loopholes there. $10 for the road budget, I get that. Because you think about that, there's a lot of countries overseas that drive on the left-hand side of the road. Here in Cocke County, we drive on what's left. Okay? Anyway, there's just too many open holes there. What are we going to do with this money? Are we going to build jail? Are we not going to? We're just going to say, hey, we've got this, or anything that comes by. What kind of limit are they? Are you going to tell me if you put a wheel tax in, there's not going to be more land tax raises? Are you not going to raise the wheel tax again? No. You can't tell me that. Nobody in here would sign a document saying, we swear to you, we're not going to raise your land taxes after we put this wheel tax in, and we're not going to go up on the wheel tax again. Nobody can sign it. It's unjust right here. We need a lot of things. Justice here, to me, is not the most important thing that we need. We need jobs, industry. That's the way I feel. And it's up to y'all, because when y'all took this post, and I say we're missing a lot, it was due to the good of our citizens, taxpayers, and how we feel. Nobody offered to ask me what I thought until here we are. So if we could do what we were supposed to, we would have hashed it out way before we got to this point. We wouldn't have to be here today. All of us wouldn't have to be here standing up for what we think is right. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Sir,
you.
what's your name?
Yeah.
Billy Wise. I'm sorry, I should have told you.
I know, that's fine.
I thought everybody, I just took for granted everybody knew.
No, you're good. You're good. Who would like to be next? Again, I'll say the same thing you know. I'll let you know when there's about 10 seconds, and then I'll call the time. Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, my name's Otis Webster. You've heard me speak before, get some other things. We always go down the same old road. Let's go on tax. Let's copy what everybody else is doing, even if it ain't working. Pass you out something here. There's roughly 34,000, 35,000 people in Cocke County. Not all of them can drink, but probably half of them do. Okay? Well, thereabouts, maybe a little less. If we tax things like that, you don't the very people that are doing the wrong things go their own way. We sell in our stores, a lot of these gas stations, crack pipes. They're not illegal just for the store sell them, but you go down the road with one of your cars, you get arrested. It's drug paraphernalia. Why do we not tax those? Look at the numbers. A lot of these are wags, wild guesses, okay? But they're pretty close, I bet you. You raise enough by taxing crack pipes, drug trafficking, vaping, because I just found out vaping is used for drugs. Alcohol, cigarettes, probably in a year will give you the same amount as a wheel tax. Here's the thing on that. Like I said before, the very people that are causing the crimes use a lot of these products. Let them help build the jail. Why is everybody else out here going to build a jail when they're not going to use it? Think about that. I'm
You're at 10
not
seconds
going
left.
to death, but don't even think about alternate things, and I'm giving you one right here. Okay? You need an alternate thing. I appreciate your time, but most of these people are against it, and most of the county's against it. Most of y'all are for re-election. Think about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, bud.
All right, next, who do I have? I have, all right, come on. Same thing, I'll let you know when there's
I'm Virginia Ottinger Bell, and I've been in this county, my family's been in this county just as long as Clay Blazer's family's been in this county. And I know we've had some shortcomings and we've had some good times too. I have actually a few questions. Are we getting a kickback from the television show being filmed here? And what's that money being used for? You know, moonshiners, I want to know where that money's going and how much it is. I mean, we have a right to know. I know you said a lot of it's going to be public knowledge. We can go in, we can look at the paperwork. But how are we, as the general public, supposed to know that every piece of that wheel tax is being calculated? How do we know from the time it's paid at the clerk's office to the time he gets to where we can look at it, where the public can look at it, that it's all there? How do we know somewhere between those two entities, something's not being cooked? And that's what a lot of these people here of Cocke County want to know, where all this revenue has went. I want to know, too, you say $10 for the wheel tax goes to roads. Yeah, the roads need to be fixed, but are we going to do like Greene County does? And I followed a truck going to Greene County last summer, and they were filling potholes with dirt and skimming them with asphalt. Is that what's going to happen here? And honestly, do we need a $50 million jail justice center? Do we, CJ? I mean, I understand there's a minimum, but this county is a bedroom county as it is. Do you really want to send all these people that are already working in Sevierville to live in Sevierville and create a ghost town for us? Because that's what's going to happen when the wheel tax is going to be up.
All right, thank you. Next, I have one more. Same thing, sir, I'll let you know when there's about 10 seconds left, and then just when the time goes up.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
My name is Jim Nickel. I live in Del Rio. My main concern is along two lines. One, wheel tax is very regressive. For those of you who don't know what regressive means, it means it really hurts the poorer people in the county much worse than almost any other tax. Most people have to have a vehicle to move around. People who have one or two vehicles, you know, they're gonna pay $50 to $100. Okay, I understand we need to raise taxes to provide us with a better jail. I know we need a jail. I don't think we need to modify the whole justice center or make it bigger or things like that. We just need to spend the money on the jail, period. I don't think we need anything else in this county at this point. Yeah, we can use some extra money for the roads, I understand that. But a wheel tax is very regressive. It hurts the poor people of this county much, much more than any other tax we could do or figure out a way to raise money. And that's my main concern.
Thank you. All right, we got just another few seconds, and then our meeting will begin.
You have time.
I do have counsel, yeah. Sorry, I did not see you.
I was kind of on the fence.
I know, you're all right, you're right, go right ahead. And I'll let you know, same thing, 2 minutes, and I'll let you know whenever there is.
Well, I just wanted to say, you know, people on fixed income, they don't get, we haven't gotten, cost of living increase, but yet gas prices have increased, groceries have increased, electricity has increased. We already pay land tax, which that's going to go up. We pay taxes on groceries, taxes on gas, taxes on taxes. We got insurance you gotta worry about. And now we're gonna have this, wheel tax. And I'm wondering if there was a third-party audit to come in and check all these committees that we have in the county and see if we could find some of the money where, you've got the rafting companies that they're charging people $2. It's not even legal, but that's supposed to be for the roads. And you've got Hartford Road that they can't even carry the buses down there without tearing the rafts up. That's trimming trees right there. That's should be part of it anyway, but that's a different ballgame. And then we're doing $60, $10 for roads, $50 for debt services. Who's to say what is that debt service? Is the resolution going to specifically call out this is for the jail? Or it's just going to be out there for whatever? And we're not going to let just the regular tax people foot the bill. Well, we've got people that don't pay their property taxes because they don't have property or anything, but you can't even get them to get insurance for the car. You think they're going to pop out $60 for a little sticker going tag? That ain't going to work either. So I think there's got to, we all know, we all understand there's got to be an improvement to the jail. I just think there should be other options.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, ma'am, what did you say your name was?
I do.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
Lori.
Lori what?
Lori Hill.
All right, okay, thank you. All right. We were going to, it's actually after time to start our meeting, or I would. I apologize.
No more time.
Okay, no, we're at 6. We ready?
All right. Our county administration, Chairman Blake Williams, presiding, Mayor Cliff Lawler, President.
Commissioner Smith, will you read this?
Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for many blessings, dear God. We pray, dear Lord, for wisdom and knowledge, Lord, tonight that everything we do will be for the better than this county. We ask you to lead and guide us, dear God, and we thank you for your Son, Jesus, that died for us. For us, in his name we pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cell phones and silence that. The Cocke County Legislative Body will meet in regular session on Monday, March 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the Circuit Courtroom at the Cocke County Courthouse. The following items of business will be considered. Number 1, roll call.
Barry Ford.
Here.
Calvin Ball.
Here.
David Blazer. Here. Dave Blazer.
Here.
Lawrence Smith.
Here.
Terry Dawson. Jonathan Long.
Here.
Jeff Esslinger.
Here.
Dan Bryant.
Here.
Casey Gillum.
Here.
Forrest Clevenger.
Here.
David Fairdown.
Here.
Kyle Schutte.
Here.
Gary Carter.
Here.
All right, number 2, the approval of last month's minutes. I have a motion from Commissioner Ball and seconded from Commissioner Blazer. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. Number 3, elections, appointments, and reports. The following notaries are to be approved: Alexis Harbin, Ann Charles Vanderland, Stephen Edgar Helton, Anna Michelle Lovell, Sandra Jones Wilson, Karen T. Million, Karen Gay Watering, Trevor Sane, Keith Keller, David Jason Whitlock, Amanda Lynn White, Rachel Ashby, Janet Sue Strange, Darlene A. Evans, and Karen J. Warwick. Do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Ms. Blazer. Do I have a second? Seconded from Commissioner Gillum. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. All right, that motion carries. Moving on to our committee reports, we're gonna go to budget.
Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of the tax transfers and amendments and waives the reading of the same for the county.
All right, do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Commissioner Gillum, do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Ford. All right, is there any question or discussion?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. It says here we're transferring $3,000 to the mayor's budget into travel. Could you explain that?
I sure can. We had more meetings this year. Gas prices have increased. We had, let's see, this year we had more meetings in Memphis. Which travel's a little more expensive. And I'm on I've asked to participate in a federal delegation regarding some of the drug issues that we're having. And I want to participate in that. That requires some travel as well. And the money would be coming from assistance. Raven, when she was here and went on maternity leave, she wasn't eligible for FMLA. She wasn't paid, and then there was a gap in there as well. So it's already in the budget.
I'm glad you're able to travel since making the meeting seems to be a problem with your foot. But I'm glad you're able to do that. That's all.
Are there any other comments? All right, if not, let's have a roll call.
Greg Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Evan Blazer. Yes. Clay Blazer.
Yes.
Norman Smith.
Yes.
Terry Dawson. Jonathan Laws.
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger.
Yes.
Dan Brought.
Yes.
Casey Gillum.
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger.
Yes.
David Fairdoll.
Yes.
Kyle Schutz.
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of the attached transfers, amendments, and waives the reading of the same for the school system.
All right, do I have a motion to accept these? A motion from Commissioner Ball, do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Bright. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Greg Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Caleb Blazer. Pass. Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Brought,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schutz,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
So that motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends the approval of a match of $160,400 from ARPA funding for a health department state ARPA grant. There was a letter attached to that, and Emma is also here if you have questions for her.
Do I have a motion to accept that? A motion from Commissioner Ball, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, second from Commissioner Schutz. Is there any discussion or question?
Do you have, where's that money coming
It's coming from our ARPA fund.
from? Our ARPA fund.
Yes, so this won't be any tax dollars.
In my understanding, and like, and she was back there at our finance committee meeting, the state got so much money, and this is just like our match, so they're willing to do all these particular upgrades.
It's a half, what is it, is it in there?
Yeah, it's like $500 million, and our match is like 116. So we're getting that much of improvement at that particular area using these ordinances. All right, any others? If not, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Greg Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Caleb Blazer. Yes. Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Brought,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schutz,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
My final thing, Mr. Chairman, the Budget Committee recommends $2 million for a building project for the county to expand office space, but not limited to election, storage, and a county meetings room. After the above approved spending project, there is, a remaining $486,000 for contingencies on December 1st, 2024, which is when we have to say, this is what we're spending, finally say, that's our final time that we can say, this is what we're spending our ARPA money on. Any amount not committed to any approved projects will go to highway capital projects for paving. And then we have 2 years after that to spend any money there.
Do I have a motion to accept this? Motion from Commissioner Clayton, do I have a second? From Commissioner Ford, are there any questions?
The only question I would have is if we go, I mean, that's 2 years from now, if we go ahead and go through with that building, and then we have our money left over, we can go ahead and transfer that to the highway.
Yeah, we can add that
Do that
to,
anytime.
yeah, if you all are okay amending that, we can go ahead and say that if the building project is completed before December 1st, then we can go ahead and do that.
I wouldn't mind amending that way, just in case, cities get it done in that period of time, just in case we did.
And that money's coming from where, Andrew?
Yeah, this is what got sent back to budget last week. and
Yeah, we
it's
did the
back.
first, like, maybe, and I don't want to say, but we did that the first $5 million last week, and this is just kind of finishing up.
Finishing up what we have to.
Okay.
Or last month, I apologize. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, it's been brought to my attention, there's a building, that might be suitable.
Okay,
It's coming up for sale.
if you will just let me know, we will talk about
So,
that.
and
Okay,
it could be a savings.
okay, all right, sounds good. Yes, the motion, the amendment of that, if we're just changing that, that if we can finish with this building early, then we will, it will not have to be on December first. In other words, if we get the county building built. Yeah, other questions?
Well, I mean, if there is a building that's available, like Mr. Smith says, I mean, can we not amend that to then purchase a building instead of buying it if we're gonna?
Before anything that we would do, I mean, like that, everything is on the table, so all this is doing is we have a plan that we have to
Put that
submit to
money
the
in.
state, so that this is how we're planning to use that. Again, I'll say before the first shovel of dirt or anything, this would have to come back and we would have to approve it.
And we got
So,
to 2024.
yes, right, so we would do that, yes.
Make any of that.
We don't know at this time, though, everything is going into.
We don't, I mean, we don't know what, like, I mean, obviously there are a lot of variables. One of the ones, and we'll go back to this, I mean, I guess some of the questions have been, when the initial ruling for COVID monies came out, you know, we talked about this in here, there were lots of strings. So as we were developing a plan, one of the areas, and especially as we have seen, and I will say, if you look at Cocke County and the state of Tennessee at early voting and the rate at which it's risen, the annex is just not large enough to house early voting. For December of 2020, November of 2020, they had, they got a grant from the state, and so all the elections in 2020 are from the federal government, like paid for that. But like now we've also rented that particular space again. So that's part of the impetus for this came. We have no idea what's gonna go in there, that's something that we will look at, see what needs to be, you know, I guess we'll study what would necessarily need to be moved, and we kind of go over there. The original area for that, right now, that's something that we're paying to rent. County clerk, I mean, almost every department is paying for some sort of storage rental. So the theory was is with this particular money, that would also, we would alleviate and try to build enough space so that we don't have storage issues.
Where would this building be built
We don't-
if this falls through what Norman brought up?
None of that, the thought was, again, as we were sitting there talking about these elections, that, I mean, like, there have been numerous locations that nothing has been set in stone, like, contrary to what anybody, like, nothing has been even decided, other than just looking at a total of $6.9 million, and this is kind of a rough breakdown of how we want to spend that money, but like, as far as the specific, the only one, I mean, the projects that we're sending over to, for the sewer, that's kind of been, you know, that $2.5 million has been accounted for, as well as to finish up those infrastructure projects inside the industrial park, or the innovation park that's over there. But everything else is still kind of up in the air. The one thing, or not in the air, everything else is kind of, it has some wiggle room. We submitted this, those are things that we know. We have to submit a plan though to the state, and so like, we can only change that once a year. So our things are, I mean, if we have any issue with how we're gonna spend this, like that, it would be next year before we'll be able to kind of make changes to it. All right, so that's one, yes. Other,
I've got a question. With all this money and projects going on, is there any money left in there for our nonprofits?
they're included with some money, I mean,
Well, in the weekend edition, I got 2 phone calls talking about something coming up in December about the nonprofits. So do we have any money? It went from 750,000, I asked that last month, to 325,000. Okay, we've not spent that money. So are you just taking part of that away from us again?
CJ.
Or what was the conversation, or where did this come from? It was in the weekend's edition of the paper.
I don't
Sorry, I
know.
don't know if it's in the paper.
I don't know.
You only have one on the paper.
I think what Terry was talking about last month, we discussed this debt, it's $375,000 that we've allocated, it's in that spending plan for the nonprofits, we've already discussed that.
Yes.
In debt, I mean, we, unfortunately, they could give us $60 million, and it wouldn't have been enough to even get close to address the needs of the county's government. Unfortunately, after we went and done the sewer project, or paid our county employees a small bonus, and the $2 million for the building, all that's left is $375,000.
375,000.
Yeah.
3 more zeros.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, and that's the only thing that I can say is whenever, as we had more things that came in, and we, like one of them being, the initial discussion or conversation that we had, I mean, and that's been, and I had that with the mayor and Heather, I mean, probably 6 months ago when we first put out some initial numbers before we ever met with you guys, with that. We were planning on, like, we were not including an employee bonus that was nearly as large as what we did. I mean, I think the original number that we had was like 2,500 and 1,500, and we ended up doing 4,000 and 2,000. So that ended up costing us a lot more money. Whenever we looked at the various other projects, that, I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, that was a decision that, that was one of the places that was the easiest to cut in terms of that. Go ahead, Mr.
Do you feel like everybody's gonna get some that turned in the application by the deadline?
I mean, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, like, to be honest with you, we've been trying to get this particular plan together and figure out like the other ins and outs. We've done that, I mean, and that includes now out of that 300 and something, each of the volunteer fire departments are getting, $15,000. 12,000, okay, I'm sorry, 12,000. So, I mean, that's already going, that's accounted for, so after you subtract that, I mean, from that, that does leave, that I would imagine, I mean, I think that and ultimately, we all get to decide what that is. So, I mean, I would imagine that each organization that would ask, they would get, would potentially have the potential to get something.
Going back to the building, the $2 million building, that's still a very fluid,
Oh, it's,
plan right now.
yeah, there's no part of that set in stone.
Okay.
That is just also based on the fact, the logic behind that is based on the particular fact that we have, that's something that's an immediate need and like we can see completed. I mean, a lot of these other projects that we're talking about, I mean, I'll just go back to, I mean, I think we could spend the whole $7 million or $6.9 million on paving roads, and you're still only looking at such a small fraction. If we broke it down, I mean, each of our districts probably wouldn't get more than 5 miles a day each. I mean, and again, when you consider how many that we have in there, that this is a particular project that you can come to fruition and kind of fix it now. That still doesn't deal with the issue we've got to attack with roads, and that's something that we've got to look at. But that's kind of the reasoning behind it. All right, any other questions? All right, if not, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Greg Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Ellen Blazer. Yes. Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson.
Yes.
Jonathan Laws,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Viradol,
Yes.
Kyle Schulte,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
Right, so that motion carries. And I will tell you, as we get any updates, or as you guys have anything, I will try to share that. I mean, I will share those with you each month as far as what we know. I think once we get this plan submitted, then we can start, maybe our next area that we can look at, or since we know about what that nonprofits is, maybe that's an area we can look at, and we'll try to figure out how to start getting that out, okay? All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Next, we have landfill, and on this, there's a landfill construction change order.
This is from last month, maybe?
If you all voted on it last month, but according to audit, you have to see what you're voting on. So they had to submit, you asked for an extension, and this is part of it. So the audit said they have to come through, so it has to be voted on once you all actually have it in front of you.
Any other questions? So do we have any action needs to be taken on this? All right, so do I have a motion to accept it?
Yes,
All right, a motion from Commissioner Verital, do I have a second? Seconded from Ms. Blazer, is there any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? All right, that motion carries. All right, as we move on into general, let me just make a really quick statement. This is where, this is the part of the meeting where we're gonna, our wheel tax is gonna be discussed. That's coming out of the general committee. So, just so that everybody is aware of that. I know that there is a lot of information that has been out there. I know that lots of people have some things that are gonna want to work. I will say, however, if we're all not kind of paying attention, if we're all not, like listening to others, if we try to talk over each other, that's gonna be counterproductive. So, I typically try to allow for debate and discussion to work its way through, but I will be gaveling you down if I'm gonna have to put up my teacher thing. We can have people sort of talking over one another, so let's just be very extra respectful to one another. I know we have differing opinions, but whatever that particular case may be, we can at least show some matter of respect, because otherwise we're not gonna get through this, okay? So, with that being said, general committee.
Mr. Chairman, we had several motions coming out of general committee this month. Two of them dealing with the wheel tax. Before we even do that, I'd like to say, as being chairman of that committee, there's a lot of things that's been reported, a lot of things said about this wheel tax issue. We have an election year. We've got several candidates that's running for mayor, several for sheriff. And I've listened to some of their platforms on social media and through other people. Some of them claim they have a better idea, that there's a better plan, that we don't have to do it this way. I'm all ears. If they've got one, if we don't have to do this, I want to hear it. I want to hear something that we've missed over the past 3.5 years doing this in all these committees. Day in and day out. If there is something better we can do, I want to know about it, and I'm sure you all do too. Because right now we're facing a $50 million bond issue that our children will be paying off. I'll never see it paid off, more than likely. We've been here a little over 3.5 years, 3 years, 8 months. I've never heard one plan or one solution to this problem coming from any of our elected officials. We're just a body of men who decide how to finance it, how to pay it, and they lady. All that's supposed to be done is they're supposed to have a solution for these plans. They bring it to us, we either vote it up or we vote it down, and we find a way to pay for it. We're not the ones that's supposed to come up with these solutions. We get paid a total of $33,800 between all 14 of us in a year's period of time. You have a finance director, you have a county mayor, you've got a sheriff. You all are paying them $272,000 a year, and yet I've heard nothing. The mayor has never offered one solution.
How about some?
I'm talking, I will yield the floor and you can speak.
You asked for solutions.
Please. If anybody has a better solution, like I said, I'll listen to it. We'll vote on it. CJ's had a few. We've got a mayor candidate, Mr. Carter. He's had a few on social media. Whatever you want to do, but as of now, we'll send these motions through. If some better idea comes along, we'll listen to it then in the proper committee where it's supposed to be. Mr. Chairman, of the General Committee, we have a motion to pass the wheel tax, which requires a 2/3 vote, 2 consecutive meetings. At this time, I would like to make a motion to pass the wheel tax resolution. ball and chain. I'm not sure what that is.
That was
Was
dropped
there
in
any
the
changes? Well, in case anyone, in case we have any changes in discussion.
Now you were doing the 2/3 as a resolution or the referendum?
This is the first one that's given to me, it's 2/3 already.
The
I mean, I'm just going by.
I wrote it as an option, so you want the resolution or the referendum? The first
Resolution.
Resolution.
Yeah, the resolution, yeah. This one,
Resolution.
this one is just straight up the
This
commission.
motion is to pass the wheel tax with a 2/3 vote with a resolution, which means it doesn't go to referendum. The general public has the opportunity to do that if they want to send it to referendum.
So I have a motion.
On the floor.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Carter. So at this point in time, we have an opportunity to, have some discussion about that. Yes, go ahead, Commissioner
Can
Carter.
I tell the story of how we got here to begin with, so everybody sort of,
Go
because
right
not everybody's under the Corrections Partnership Committee. Okay, so Tennessee Correctional Institute, a group that certifies the jail, has been coming for a long time, talking to Sheriff Wando, former Chief Deputy Woods. How long, Crystal, has Bob been coming around? You know, I mean, it's more.
Way before I got here.
Yeah,
Because
so-
this has been on the
DC
20 years.
Sheriff.
Yes.
20 years.
So, not a new problem, we're just the ones trying to deal with it, okay? So we went through the SWOT analysis of what we had, what we could and couldn't do. Of course, all the options got thrown out there, and what, a lot of the stuff that came up, Bob Bass recommended against, so we moved away from some of those things. Then we went on to site selection. We decided we wanted it on a piece of property that we own, which is gonna be down in the industrial park. Okay, and then we went through the jail study, which told us what we needed for, not only now, but a 30-year projection. So then, we had the cost of construction estimation laid out, which what gave us 35-something for just the jail, a little over 40 for jail and court system, and then we bumped up just thinking 50 because of what you're gonna have to put furniture in it, things that we're not thinking about on the front, that you can't calculate in how many desks you're in and stuff like that. So, now you're left with how to pay for it. You got 4 options. One is do nothing, and I think that we all agree that we don't want to do nothing. I don't think anybody wants to just thumb our nose at the TCI and say, we're not going to do it, come make us, because I think that leads to a property tax increase. Could be wrong, but if the federal judge comes in and tells us how to do it, that's what we're going to get, and we're not going to have to say so. That's how it's going to be, and we're going to have to offer it. Number 2 is we increase property tax on our own to put enough money aside to pay for that project. I don't really want to do that, and I don't think anybody else really wants to do that either. Your third option is to cut service. You can't nickel and dime $2 million, which would be the payment of the note, yearly estimated as of now, out of a, $28 million budget, yeah, give or take. Can't nickel and dime $2 million out of $28 million. So, cutting service is how you cut a budget to get that kind of money. So you're looking at services that aren't mandated by the state. In my opinion, this isn't on paper anywhere. That's your fire protection, animal control, and your revenue. Nobody here, I don't think anybody here wants to see anybody lose a job except for little ones. So the 4th option, which is the one that is in front of us, as big and ugly as it is the vehicle registration tax, the wheel tax. I don't like it. Nobody wants a new tax. That's a little silly to think that anyone would want. Yes or no, I know the answer to that. No, I don't want to pay for it. But it kind of seems to me, and everybody's got an opinion, and I'm just the one speaking first, is that it sucks to lose. Because it sucks no matter what we do, but it seems to spread the cost over more people than just the property owners. So that's my stance on it. And again, if anybody's got a better plan, I'd love to hear it. Because that's just, we've gone through everything, and then this is where we seem to be.
Commissioner Berry.
Mr. Carver, would you care to tell the public who Bill Bass is? Some of them may not know.
Oh, he's with the Tennessee Corrections Institute. His actual title, I was emailing him earlier, is, one second. But he's the guy that comes from Nashville. It's Bob Bass, and he is the deputy director for the Tennessee Corrections so he's pretty high. He's the one that's been telling us that. I think one of the things that Armando had thrown out was possibly like portable pods that we could buy and put down at the annex, and they said no to that. Or I don't think they ever said no. I think generally they said we don't recommend it because they felt like it was a Band-Aid to a bigger problem. Does that sort of answer your question? Yeah, he's high up in the East, and he's the one kind of telling us his recommendations.
And the annex and this above us will never be certified.
Correct, that's also.
The only way that Arcade told me several times, the only way we'll have certified jails when we stick the shovel in the ground for the jail.
And that's the assumption we're going off of. People from the state telling us that. That isn't the decision of
That's
anybody.
not ours.
Yeah, this isn't us coming up with that. I don't know anything about it other than what the professionals tell me.
I had a question, or the, oh, go ahead, Mayor, I'm sorry. I apologize.
And I want to stand here, so I don't want to turn my back to y'all, but, I would have brought this up. I did not realize that y'all want to put forth a resolution so quick, because the last time we talked about it, we still don't know the new cost of the jail, based on the one that this has, because when I sent a email to Jay from MBI, he didn't have that readily available, and it's still not available. There's a lot of, I think Commissioner Clevenger just said that somebody else, the finance director or the sheriff or me, is supposed to give you all something and let you all fund it. But as you've said, sometimes with threats, a judge, and I think it was Green or Granger, didn't do anything to the mayor. All that was filed with the commission. So this is a commission thing to solve and a commission thing to fund, but I do have some ideas. So, this resolution as it stands doesn't identify that it's for the bonds for a jail or justice center. It says debt service. There's, hey, what's in debt service now, that's for some buses and various things. You could build a bridge, you can build a shrine to yourself, and if it costs enough, you can pay it out of that. So, one of the things that you all have not explored, you're looking at increasing beds, increasing beds, increasing beds, but you haven't explored decreasing population. The study that MBI did, that we all watched here, based on that presentation from MBI, 77% of the inmate population was released within 7 days. In the annex, 9% of the makeup was convicted of a misdemeanor, and 31 was a pretrial misdemeanor. In the old jail, this one up here, 7% of the makeup was convicted of a misdemeanor, and 65 was pretrial misdemeanor. Have we looked at if it's possible to reform our pretrial release? Can we get those folks before a judge more quickly? Do we have a jail full of people who haven't paid child support? Not that they shouldn't see jail time, but they're taking up space and they can't work and pay child support if they're in jail. And you're not addressing the root cause. You can build a 263-bed facility that will cost the taxpayers $83 million. I mean, we throw $50 million around, but when you add interest, it's $83 million. By the time you factor in the interest, and it will be full and overcrowded too. Because the last time I checked, I was told there was enough outstanding warrants to fill 3 jails. This resolution, doing it right now, is the equivalent of going out and buying a car that you can't afford and then having to leave it parked because you can't afford gas or insurance. For the last 8 years that I've been here, at every budget, there's been issues with how much it costs in the jail budget for food and medical and just jail in general. In 2020, the final operating budget for the jail was a little over $2 million, with an average daily inmate population of 122. If you use those same figures, and you know everything's increased, if you use those same figures and base that on a 263-bed facility, then the year that this Justice Center opens, the operating budget is going to need to be $4.4 million. We barely have the $2 million. So, were we getting the $4 million? Are we raising the wheel tax again? Are we raising property taxes? And I could talk about staffing, but that's just more money that the county doesn't have. Now I read Commissioner Cleveland's post that said almost all of you agree that a wheel tax is the best solution without putting the burden on the property tax owners. But I don't agree. And I know some people are for a wheel tax. I don't have property in the city, in the county, I don't have, or in the city, I don't have commercial property that's taxed at 40%. I used to live in an old house, right now I live in a camper, and soon I'll have to be living in a modular. So my property taxes aren't that high, but I can see when other people's are and why some people would be for it. I'm just not of the mindset to have two taxes, that the government can increase on me. Because statistics show there's only 7 out of the 60 counties that have a wheel tax where it and property taxes did not increase. So, my solution, beyond exploring decreasing your population, is in 2028 we're practically going to be debt free. The debt for this project alone is the same as what we pay for all our debt right now. Pretty much, it's really close. The financial advisor has already said that we would have to use money from our debt service fund balance to make some of the payment in years 2026, 2027, and 28. And we've got $6.6 million in that fund balance. Keep that in there. It's a good healthy sum in case the bottom draws out. We have 1.1 in litigation tax. And my thoughts are, instead of trying to come up with a way to pay for what was designed, because we're averaging 130 inmates, but we're going to build a 263 bed facility, is that we see what we can pay for and then come up with something that we can actually get. The current plan is in 2 phases. Phase 1 is the jail, phase 2 is the courtroom. The plan for the jail calls for a $2.5 million sheriff's building. We could always make that phase 3. And if we can figure out a way to get us to 2028, we wouldn't need a property tax increase or a wheel tax increase to fund this. And according to Scott Gibson, there is no reason that we can't issue debt in phases to match the construction schedule. Now, you run the risk, there's always risk, there's risk right now of litigation, there's risk of interest rates going up. They went up a little bit since it was there the last time, but they could also go back down. Now's not a good time to borrow, interest rate is up, but it may be down next time. So there's risk both ways, but there's no reason we have to go in debt immediately right now when everything else is as high as it is, and we don't even know exactly how much that what they've got planned to build is going to cost.
All right, any other comments?
I'd like to clarify just a thing or two there that the mayor stated. Yes, when we made the resolution, it was told, we were told to put it into debt service by the finance director. The original motion that we made, it was made by Gail Blazer, and seconded, I can't remember who, was worded exactly to pay for a jail. Okay, that's how it was worded. We were told by a professional that we're paying to tell us these things, that it would be best to put it into the debt service. What the mayor's alluding that the cost of running this jail is going to be over $4 million. I don't think that's true. We could ask C.J. Ball, he would be the actual expert that could tell us if the increase would be that much. Because I can tell you this, when we were taking state inmates about 5 years ago, our jail budget was $1.7 million. At $1.7 million, we were getting back, on average, $850,000 from the state to offset that 1.7 million. This year, our budget was 1.9. It may have went to 2. But what we got back from the state was under 240,000, 250, am I right on that, CJ? We only got back 250,000. So this holding state inmates, yeah, we're not going to make money, but it offsets the budgets that it takes to run the jail. If you can do math, $850,000 from $170,000, that's how much it actually costs to run that jail. Without state inmates, it cost us $1 million more. $1 million per year more without holding state inmates. So obviously, I mean, if you can do simple math, it's a good idea to have a state inmate or two. Yes, our jail population is down. That's because all the criminals are on the street robbing your houses. Okay, we have no place to put them. Allegedly. They are innocent until proven guilty. We have no place to put these offenders. They're out running the roads. It's a revolving door over here. And I, for one, don't like it. I wish we had a place to put them, but alas, we do not. Our jail was decertified in 2018. I've got the documents to show you what brought that about. Overcrowding is only one issue out of about 30. One of the main issues is we're not able to classify our prisoners, which means if you've got a murderer who's waiting to go to trial, and one of our children, God forbid, catches a DUI or gets in a little trouble, first offense, good kid, he's going to get stuck in the same cell that man that just killed 2 people. Now, if he decides to hurt that boy, guess who's liable? We are. We will face a multi-million-dollar lawsuit yet again because we have a deficient jail that we cannot separate our prisoners. It's not, you know, I mean, the mayor's coming up with these ideas now. You got 6 months left before the term's over. Been here 8 years. This problem's been going on for 20, and nobody's had a solution. But let me tell you, the idea of kicking the can down the road, I'll tell you where it's got us. Just since the 3.5 years that we've been here, we could have fixed this problem when we first got here for $25 million. $25 million. Today it's 40. With every 1 point increase in interest on the loan that we were trying to get, adds another $10 million over a 30-year amortized period. Okay? Let it go up another half point, $5 million. Let it go up another full point, $10 million. We could have built this jail if we had somebody leading us and showing us what we could have done 4 years ago for the amount of money we thrown out the dang window. So if you want to kick it on down the road 8 years, go right ahead. 8 years, 3.5 cost us $25 million. How many more millions you want to throw away in 8 years? It don't matter. You know, if you want to just wait on this, and we'll wait and see what the next administration has to say. I don't care at this point. We have a motion on the floor. I call the question. Chairman.
All right.
So that needs to be seconded and voted on for proper procedure.
Do what? Call the question?
Yeah, it needs to be seconded and voted
If
on.
I have anybody else that has a comment, I'll just go with there. If we don't have, go ahead.
I just want to say, right on both of what they said here, the money that we lost in revenue was due to lack of state inmates. And the reason we don't have as many state inmates is because we're decertified. And again, we'll never be certified in what we're talking about now. So, I mean, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
Other questions? All right.
Yeah, I've got it. Well, I can't. You know, the bothersome thing about this whole deal is we've got a state legislative down there that's sitting on the big rainy day fund that they're bragging about. And they're the very ones that said, we're not building any more prisons, we're going to push it down to these poor counties and let them house their inmates. And that's a shame. I mean, I went and bought gas earlier for that stupid Dodge truck I've got out there. And it's, you know, here's what bothers me, guys, about this whole thing. We're looking at gas at $4 a gallon. Everybody's out there having to buy that gas. We're looking at groceries. It's costing $250, $300 to feed your family. And we're talking about a tax. And there's just something not set right there. I mean, honestly, it don't right now. It's scary times for people.
Amen, brother.
And I'm going to tell you something. It ain't going to get no better for 3 years. And you can do the math and know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
And I understand we're losing money. I mean, I get that. But doggone, you gotta have it to lose, and right now we don't have it. And it just scares me right now, just talking about income tax right now on these poor people in this county. It
Go ahead,
does.
just wait.
I'm just gonna vote the word, I've worked about this, I've worked, like the last week or two, I've worked on looking at different avenues. I've spent time in Shalane's office, I've spent time on the phone with Heather, or Melissa over here has gone crazy for me being on the phone with her, and don't like the idea of a tax. But I also don't like the thought of a judge telling us we're gonna have to do it. I don't like that. So what hit me this afternoon when I went home, I heard that Goldman Sachs is predicting in the next 2 years, interest rates will go up 11 times, 7 times just this year. That's just a prediction. The interest rates are on their way up. So, I mean, I know it's hard on everybody. I don't want a tax. And I've said here many times in this seat and said, I won't vote for a tax unless the people can vote for it. I just feel that way. I'm not going to do that. But we have a need. So when I talked to our lawyer, I said, can we do this? And I ran the numbers with Heather today. We don't need a $50 million jail. That was to cover incidentals. And incidentals may be a chair, a desk, or whatever. If we decide to do this, when you move that office, you take that desk with you. We're not buying it. If that's how I feel. Let's do 40 million. I mean, I built a house a long, long time ago, and everything in my house was new when I walked in. You just can't do that. Put it somewhere else. I talked to Chalet. If we did a wheel tax, we based all of this on the wrong numbers, and I went to her, and we based it on 35,000 vehicles. I went to Chalet, and I think what did we come up with? It was like 41,000 vehicles in the county. We could possibly go down $10 to $50, build a $40 million jail, and pay for it. Because I know, Mayor, that you're saying if we waive that 2.2 or whatever, we'll have it when we drop off that debt, but we'll not have any money to do anything else. We've got lots of stuff. I know, we've got lots of stuff that has to be done. We've got landfill that has to be worked on. We've got all kinds of stuff. So I don't know where we get that at either.
Well, I didn't want to, I was talking about waiting until 2028. You get 2 construction years.
Like 3 interest rate, I know, that's what I'm saying. So we could do that with that, whatever. I'm just saying, we'll not, if we wait and don't do anything, we're not gonna have any other money to take care of anything else in this county. Landfill's gonna, roads are gonna, I mean, I made a whole list of the things that we need to do in the county, and we're just not gonna be able to do it. Now, some of you all ask, how do we know that money's going to go where it went? I talked to county clerks in different counties. I called them. I said, what's your wheel tax? How's that work? And then I got the resolution from Jefferson County. They pretty much tied it up, and it says, and I asked our lawyer to go back over it and sort of, I didn't like the thought it went to debt services either, because we typically, and I don't trust government myself, we typically do not trust government. If it's not in there specifically where it's going to be, what it's going to be used for, it's going to be used for something else. Y'all know that? I know that. This was what I asked her to put in there, if I can find it. It was in section 6. It was the new one that Ms. Gosman emailed everybody. I don't know if you all got it. You didn't email it to everybody? No, I thought we were just okay. So this is what I asked her to put in there. The proceeds of this tax shall be deposited as follows. I don't want $60. If we can get away with 50, why do we need 60? $40 shall be deposited in the debt services fund solely for debt associated with new Cocke County Jail or Justice Center. That takes care of where it's going to be paid for. Because, yes, it has to be audited. We're audited every year. They'll know where that money goes, period. And the other was, in 10 shall be deposited in capital projects fund for the highway department solely for the maintenance and upgrades of roads or bridges within Cocke County. Well, asphalt, we can put it for whatever, but it could be solely for asphalt for the roads. So we can tie that up and say, yes, this is what that has to be used for. And I talked to her about it. I talked to Heather when she ran the numbers with the different numbers and vehicles that Chalet gave me, it works. It works at the lower, if we don't build a $50 million jail, it works for 40 and a $50. So, like I said, I don't want to tax, but we've got to do something to go to get something. And I am open, let me just say one other thing. And I am open to looking at taxing what the gentleman down here said. I'm open to looking at that. I'll look at that and we'll see if we can't make up that much money to do that. I'm good with that.
Other places do.
And I'm good with that. I mean, I will look at anything to save our taxpayers because I agree with Norma. We can afford it, but we're not going to definitely be able to afford it if a federal judge tells us we have to do it. So.
Okay,
All right.
let this one go as is, and then add everything you said to the next one. I mean, do have Forrest can amend the motion, I'll second either way, but it's time.
What's the motion on the floor?
All right, the motion on the floor right now, just so that everybody, so we can kind of recap and everybody knows where we are at. Motion right now is just the wheel tax that was, the wheel tax that was to be passed by resolution in here, basically, I mean, long story short, two-thirds of you all vote for that, and it's putting it there with, $50 going to debt service, $10 going to paving for roads. That's what we're discussing right now. Now, Gailey's brought that up, I mean, you know, like.
There's just something different.
No, that's
It
understandable.
would be better to vote on it as is.
Yeah.
And then go back.
Let me go back, all right, but Commissioner Smith, you had one other comment, because I know this is important, so we need to hear.
Well, the only comment I want to make is, there's a lot of, we do have need for jail. If you don't believe me, go over and look. I mean, I toured that women's facility. You've got these poor young girls, and I understand, I get it. People love it. It's their fault. It is their fault. But I'm gonna tell you something. It's by the grace of God. It ain't one of my kids up there, laying in that jail, on that floor, or.
None of us is immune to it.
Right.
I have one for clarification.
And I'll get you, Commissioner.
The $10 that would go to roads, that would bring in, if everybody paid, or we'll have a jail full of people who got put in jail for not paying wheel tax, and we'll be full of those people. But assuming everybody paid the $10, we got 41,000 vehicles, that's $410,000. How much roads will that pay? Will 410,000 get?
The numbers change because, yeah, it ain't even that no more.
Four-
It's not even what it was before when we talked about it. The prices went up, fuel, everything at the road department's affected by fuel.
So the $10 road tax, 2-3 miles, not more than 4 for lucky. Okay.
Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
I just want to say, whether you're for the wheel tax or not, if you're a landowner, you are the one who's gonna have to really pay attention to this. This ain't gonna affect whoever's living over here in assisted homes. This is gonna affect you. The landowner's gonna pay taxes twice. You cannot get out of it. Nobody's gonna tell you any different. Land taxes are never gonna stop increasing, no matter if they tell you different. I don't know if this is gonna go through with the 2/3 vote. I feel like it'll at least make it valid. You've got to think about this on your own. You can't go out here and have somebody, your next door neighbor, tell you how to think about this. You can't read social media to tell you how to think about this. You need to get out and talk to the people who are running for office. You need to ask them direct questions and don't let them talk around you. Make them give you direct answers. Ask them how they feel about it before you go vote. Don't let somebody tell the masses who to vote for. Go out and do your own research. I've been preaching this for months. People sit and go off what they're told. There's nobody up here on this board padding their pocket full of money with your taxpayer dollars. I hear that all the time. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I've never seen the first dollar bill. I've never seen a check. The only thing I see is numbers on papers. We are not padding our pockets. Clear your head of that if you're trying out of the gate. Be smart. Talk to the people who's running for office. Go to your CLB members. And as if you can see on the ballot, there's not many people filling out running for the CLB. This is a beat 'em up job. You vote them in to complain about it.
That's the thing. We put the hours in, we put the time in, we're with everybody in here. Whether we're right or wrong, it's a decision that we've been forced to make. You all have the option of going out and talking instead of just being complainers and whiners. Get out and take action. It's on you when it comes to the end of it. You control it by who you vote for. If you vote, 7,000 people out of 36,000 people in this county is all that votes. That is ridiculous.
Yep, sure is.
That is a joke.
Yep.
Get out here and talk to the people. If they're not giving you answers and they're hiding from this, you need to really think, is that who you want to vote for? That's all I got to say on it. If it goes to ballot, you landowners better really think about it. If you want help, the wheel tax is where it's going to be. If you don't want it, then you voted yourself to pay for all of it. And that's what it's going to be. And that's all I have.
Do I have anybody else with any other comments? All right, if not, we have the original resolution. Does everybody understand what we're voting on? This is again just simply passage of a wheel tax by CLB resolution. We will have a roll call vote, please.
Greg Ford,
No.
Calvin Ball,
No.
Caleb Blazer. No. Clay Blazer,
No.
Norman Smith,
No.
Terry Dawson, Jonathan Laws,
No.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Wright,
No.
Casey Gillen,
No.
Morris Clevenger,
No.
Devin Fairwell, Kyle Schiffman,
No.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
So that motion does not carry.
Now, you're gonna, Caleb, you wanna do the motions that you got here with us?
Well, let me go ahead, I've got another motion that I'd like to make at this time.
Okay.
I was talking with Mr. Smith this, and he has a good point. You know, we're being forced to do a lot of this because of the state, it's part of it. Actually, some of you follow my social media, the mayor follows it a great deal, you've probably seen it. If the state would give us a zero interest loan, I've done the math on this, our payment for this jail, a $40 million bill would be under $145,000 if we had a no interest loan. But they don't do that. But apparently Jeremy Faison replied to my post and said he will introduce a bill to this. And we'll see if Mr. Faison is good to his word. Because if he did introduce a bill, and we had a zero interest loan from the state to house their problem, we could pay for this, no problem whatsoever. And Mr. Smith is right, this is a terrible time to try to do this. If we'd have done this 3.5 years ago, the sting would have been gone, we'd have it in jail, and this would have been a memory. For this time, I'd like to make a motion that we send this back to committee. We discuss this a little further, possibly give us some more time. Hopefully the economy will turn back around and we'll be able to make some decisions. And we got other people coming in that may have better solutions. And we've kicked this can this far. We can stand about 6 more months. So at this time, I'd like to send this back to committee. Do I have a second?
Second. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Do we have any other discussion?
Why are we voting this, why are we avoiding giving the people the chance to vote? It's going to get voted down again on this committee. We're just kicking it. There's nothing that anybody can say that's going to change anybody's mind on that. Why are we avoiding putting this on the ballot?
Because it costs money to put it on the ballot. We don't need it if we're not going to pass it.
We don't know that it's going to pass. I think we need to give the people an opportunity to do what we need.
If we wait, we may not have to put it on the ballot.
The only thing that I want to say, Commissioner Gill, to your particular point, there's still an opportunity for it to be on the ballot. It's too late for the make
I'm
ballot.
just asking,
They're not- no,
I'm good with it. I just want to know
it's too late
what
for the
reason.
make ballot. If we don't act relatively soon, all right, so, right now, we're really working toward putting it on this, we still have a couple of months for the November ballot.
I just want to know the reason for it. I just want to know, is it we're scared that it's going to get voted down, or that we don't trust? If it's all that, why are we even discussing it anymore? If people don't, if we know they don't want it, then why are we keeping discussing it? I say, let's go ahead, let's get it out, let them vote on it, let them do their thing, and, we'll know from there, because this has not been voted for 4 years off this panel. It ain't gonna get voted for in a month.
I'd say, that's my, whatever you want to do, I'm fine with, if we can put it on down the road.
Any other comments?
Committee, this is that.
If you don't care, let's do a roll call vote to send it back to
This just takes a simple majority, am I right,
It
Mr.
does just
Chairman?
take a simple majority to send it back to committee.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Ella Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
No.
Kevin Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson, Jonathan Lyles,
Yeah.
Jeff Etzlinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
No.
Casey Gillum,
No.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdown,
Yes.
Al Schutake,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
No.
All right, so this is going back to committee.
Would it possibly, if it does come back up, like if it comes back to us in April and we voted, we voted on it in August, or would it be nothing but?
According to Josh, if we get it in 75 days before any election, it can go to referendum.
So for the August deadline, that's roughly around the first of June, and for the November deadline, that would be around August.
75 days.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
All right, so is that all under general committee? All right, if not, let's move on to public safety.
Oh, that's me, yes, we have me. First of all, I will say really quickly to our Emergency Responders Association, I went to their meeting. It was so very informative, and I just have to commend those guys out there. They're just out there doing a good work. I mean, all of our firefighters and everything, so I just want to say thank you to them. And we do have an RFP that I would like to introduce and make a motion that we approve that. That is for the ambulance. So I make a motion to approve the ambulance RFP that we're going to send out for bid.
All right, so we have a motion to accept the RFP. Now for me, do I have a second? The second from Commissioner Estes. All right.
It's a draft because, the forward, some of the forward things from budget have to be added to it. So
What things are going to be added?
just, it's like the IRA, so that's, it's just,
Okay.
those.
Yeah, and the pursuit, the actual like detail of how the stuff gets opened and
But
what you all, yeah, will not change.
Right.
What you all have in there right now will not
So
change. I'm just adding some.
with minor changes.
Well,
Or
the hour,
minor changes to this. This won't change, it's just that they've had to be added to every single RFP.
Okay, so do I need to amend that with changes?
Just a draft RFP.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the draft RFP for, to send out for bid.
all right. We have a second from, are you good with that, Commissioner Estes? Very good. Is there any discussion? I know for those of you that have been involved in public safety, there've been a lot of meetings, and we've done a lot of looking at that, and a lot of discussion, and I don't know that it's a perfect document, and then we're gonna get, but I think we're gonna get a better service than what just because we have some specific expectations that's laid out with this.
Yes.
All right, with that being said, are there any other questions?
I'd just like to say one thing about this. I want to applaud everybody that was in that public safety meeting, especially Gayla, especially Casey. They done an outstanding job. Our county attorney, she showed up. This is a really different look of our contract. We've dealt with first call since we took off. It's been one thing after another. It's become a life-saving issue. And this contract addresses so many important parts that's been omitted for years and years. It actually has the county's people at heart, or best interest at heart. The only thing is, this ain't gonna be cheap, y'all. Remember that. This is not gonna be cheap. But we'll save lives.
We can ask for whatever we want to do, they still have to accept the contract. You know,
Well,
we could be out of an ambulance service if we ain't careful too, let's go
Well,
back
I
to
mean-
that.
Right.
I'm sorry.
All right, any other All right, if not, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Terry Ford,
Yes.
Al Miles,
Yes.
Ella Laser,
Yes.
Clay Laser,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
John Miles,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Cleveland,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Al Schutze,
Yes.
Gary Parker.
Yes.
All right, so that motion carries. Was that all out of public safety?
Yes.
All right, then let's move on to purchasing. Nothing, all right. Mayor report to the county manager.
I have a few things, to do an update on, and then just a couple things I want to say. I did want to give an update on the premium pay. We still haven't heard back regarding the questions asked on, previous employers who retire versus do you have to pay previous employees who just left or who were current. We did send those questions in. We're in queue to have them answered with all of the other counties and cities across the state. We have paid all employees with the exception of the trustee's office. As you know, he pays his own employees, so we don't have his time sheets. When we asked for them, he refused to give them, and he's going to give his employees a bonus from the county fees that he collects instead of premium pay from the federal money. So, but we got everybody else. So those are good and done. We were approved for the RGP grant from $3,000 for a restroom and a grant on the French Broad. The state finally finished their environmental review on the 15th, and the development district is working on our response. We do have a new grant opportunity to apply for a community development block grant for recovery housing, and you can apply for up to $750,000. But the county is required to partner with an organization that does recovery housing. There's no match, and I've been working with Westcare to see if they're able to partner with us on that. And they're looking over the grant and for a suitable site here, and if they're willing, we'll go ahead and apply for that one. This one, I was also contacted about the Conway Bridge in Briarcliff, and this does affect more Centerview and Biden. It's in severe need of repair. It was placed on the highway, the high priority bridge replacement list last year. Right now it's got a 5-ton weight limit and it's very narrow. However, that bridge was placed on the Register of Historical Places. It's over 100 years old. They can't restore it to its former condition, so they would have to completely tear it down and rebuild to modern standards. So to do that, I would have to issue a letter stating that. So if you all could let people in your districts or people in Centerview, Bobby, in the next couple of weeks, if you have strong objections to that bridge being replaced, at some point, it's the last stage before you can't cross it anymore. Right now, the only thing that can cross it is a passenger vehicle. So at some point, you're not going to be able to travel on it anyway. You can say a historical bridge, but you can't cross it, or I've got to be able to sign that letter and let them restore it or replace it to modern standards. So in the next couple of weeks, anybody wants to contact me, otherwise I'll probably send that in since it's a safety issue. That is all I have as far as county report, but I do have something that I want to address, and I'll apologize, because this is probably, it's not the place for it. It's a little petty. It's not as petty as some of the comments you've heard earlier, but it's petty nonetheless. But I feel I need to warn you, because yesterday I got a message, and I get a notice when somebody shares my post, so then I'll look at theirs. So I got a message about my post that I made yesterday about me vetoing the wheel tax, and if it had passed without being put on the referendum, and only 3 people voted for it, so we don't have to worry about that, but I did want to put that out there. So I got a text message yesterday from Commissioner Esslinger, asking me about it, and, you know, it went the way you think it would. Little gradually, little insults, few digs. I just sent some smiley faces, just a laugh. It's a text, so I gotta send emojis. So then I got another one. He's gonna send my text messages to the Plain Talk and the newspaper, and that's fine with me, is what I said. So then I sent, there's a few more smiling faces. And then he said, maybe I should play a couple of phone conversations that I have recorded, then we'll see who's laughing. So I assume at some point, I don't care if he plays the phone conversations he recorded. That doesn't matter to me. But I feel that I should tell you, just in case, he's playing right now. But I just want to tell you, if there are small kids around, you need to take them out. Because when he called me, I was sick. And the first words out of his mouth was, hey, I hate to bother you while you're sick, but. And it was about the premium pay. So in typical fashion like this digressed, the phone conversation digressed, and I proceeded to cuss him with everything in me, the type of cussing you'd give a man who records a phone conversation and then threatens to blackmail you with it. So, I'm only telling you this, and I'll post it on Facebook, but there's a good lot of people here. So if you will all let anybody know, when it comes time for him to play said recording, take your kids out, because I got pretty hot. And I'd like to say, I ain't got 6 months left, I'd like to say I probably wouldn't do it again, but I may. And that's all I've got.
Next, in a matter of report from the county.
Could I just say, you was talking about Rob refusing the money that we gave him.
Yes.
I want to hear this directly and understand, we as a commission voted for that. How can he take it on his own to take it out of his budget and go against what we voted on?
Well, he's a fee office, and we checked with the audit. Audit was a little uncertain too, because we signed a salary agreement and bonuses aren't in there. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. I assume at some point he's gonna have to come back to the commission and ask to transfer some of his fees to a line item, to a salary line item.
Okay, suppose it goes this way, where's that money going to go to be appropriated?
It'll stay with ARPA funds for those employees. That's what you come out of the ARPA funds.
Can we have do you know what part of your head is?
I don't know what the
Could you give us
I'm
that?
sorry, I'll get it in case.
Thank you.
But, yeah, he's just gonna use the fees that comes in from, I guess, taxes and other fees that he comes in.
All right, county attorney, sorry.
Okay, I have one thing. So our medical examiner is retiring on April 1st. To not have a gap between medical examiners, I was going to ask you guys to approve the appointee that the mayor has. How it works is that the mayor appoints a medical examiner, but her appointed, whoever she chooses, is based on a convention of physicians within the county who suggest who the medical examiner should be. So her appointee will be from the convention of medical examiners. So if you guys could go ahead and approve that beforehand.
McCall's hours and
Did we
that's
get a
him.
resident or
Yes.
thing for him to
He's
be
been in
retired?
for 50 years.
Maybe have him here presenting to him. He's a dear friend of mine, he's done a great job.
I can't tell you who the appointment is yet, because as you can imagine, doctors are very busy, and I'm having trouble convening all the doctors in the county to have said convention.
So they'll suggest someone and then the mayor will appoint that person. And then by statute, you have to approve that appointee, but I'm asking that you kind of preemptively approve it so that we don't have a gap in medical examiners.
If we don't have a medical examiner, we have to get the state medical examiner to sign anything, and it's very hard to get them here.
And my thought would be, can I just ask this, would it be possible, just in case there were any concerns, can we kind of preemptively go with this? And if there's just like gross disagreement with that, we can always come back and revisit this. I think the bigger issue is, we just can't have a gap of not having a medical examiner versus doing one. So,
I make a motion.
all right, we have a motion from Commissioner Ball and second from Ms. Blakely. Is there any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. All right, that motion carries. Anything else from the county attorney? All right, very good. May I report from county commissioners? All right, if not, let's go on. Number 9, may I report from the county partnership? That copy was enclosed. Lucas is here if anybody has any questions for him.
Do you need to update us on anything, Lucas? Anything? Anything at all? I don't know.
Not the one that you want me to update you on, there's not, maybe run out next month.
Love's is open, Gail. If anybody wants to complain about the traffic signal, just call me at my office tomorrow.
There is a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, you're doing all that red line.
Depends on where you're at.
Close.
That was, what's that number again? All right, very good.
I've been asking.
If there's nothing else with that, all right, moving on, in the matter of report from First Call Ambulance Service, that copy was enclosed, as, came out. A matter of report from Cocke County Beautiful, that copy was enclosed, as well as a matter of report from the Friends of the Animal Shelter, that copy was enclosed. A matter of report from County Corrections Partnership, there was no meeting, so there's
Yeah, no, I
there's
think
nothing.
that audience is not here.
All right, so moving on to number 4, property tax refunds. In the matter of approving the following property tax refunds: Ames Doris, Mark Ward, Jeffrey Oliver, Edix Catherine, Alfred Jackson, Edix Brenda, and Delacentia Gio Franco. Do I have a motion to accept those? A motion from Commissioner Gillum. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Laws. That's a motion. All right, is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Bill Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Laws,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Wright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schute,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
All right, so that motion carries. Moving on, in the matter of appointing, new business, in the matter of appointing Jennifer Arms to the Cocke County Board of Sanitation, do I have a motion to accept this? A motion from Commissioner Gillum, seconded by Ms. Blazer. I saw her hand a second ago. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. Being the matter of approving a resolution for sewer extension into the Cosby community and to service Cosby School, do I have a motion to accept that? A motion from Commissioner Gillum and seconded by Commissioner Ford. All right, is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and do that as a roll call.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Bill Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
No.
Jonathan Laws,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Wright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schute,
Yes. That's my
Gary
fault.
Carter.
Yes.
All right, so that motion carries. C, in the matter of amending / clarifying of a motion from January 24th, 2022, minutes regarding premium pay. Just so that you guys are aware, after last month's minute, after that went through, because that's a couple of months ago, we approved the minutes last month. We found out that there was an issue that was there, so you got the update in your packets of like those revised minutes. That's just to clarify, again, it's just a thing to clarify. Do I have a motion to accept that? A motion from Ms. Blazer, seconded from Commissioner Fairdoll. Is there any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. In the matter of Emma Davis addressing the Cocke County Legislative Body regarding a new Health Department Employee Education Assistance Program offered by the State Health Department. Is Ms. Davis here? Yes, that's right.
Perfect, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Emma Davis. I'm the County Health Director for Cocke County. The state has a state employee education policy that pays for state employees to continue their education, which includes 1 class per semester and 1 paid day of educational leave for 40 days. It's 1 day a week up to 40 days. There are more federal funds that has amended this policy through 2023, and they have included county employees as well. So this is a education assistance program that will pay for 2 classes per semester. So it could be for summer, fall, spring, and half of summer through June 30th, 2023. It's only for health department employees. It'll pay for 2 classes, not including fees, and then offer 1 day off, 1 paid day leave, if they have a lab or if they need to go do something for school that day. We have 4 current county employees with 6 positions available. So this could be potentially 4 to 6 employees, which I envision it being more 1 to 2 that would benefit from this. It's no cost to the county. It's reimbursable. It's a grant that runs through June 30th, 2023. So I'm asking that we adopt that and allow our employees to have that benefit as well. Again, state employees have that benefit, but now county employees will have that benefit through next summer.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve.
We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Smith and second by Commissioner Gill. All right, is any other discussion? That is no cost to the county, but will we be initially paying that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we need to do a roll call vote. That's fine for my clarification, thank you.
But it is reimbursed.
Yeah, it's reimbursable, it's a net, no cost, but because we're initially gonna have to spend money, then we have to, those that all have to.
I'm sorry, before did she say how long to get the money back, or did that?
It would be within 45 days. It would
Okay,
be
so
similar to
it's
the
on-
invoice process.
And my other guess would be it would work along with like our auditing process, so in other words, like it would be done before June, like if we took it in, if you paid somebody like in May, for example, we would get that money before June 30th, before the end of our term.
Okay.
And it's paid directly to the school. So the school will invoice the county, then you pay the school, and then you get reimbursed back.
Any other, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Caleb Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson,
Yes.
Jonathan Miles,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schubert,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Going on E, in the matter of a refund request for Celia Lane Rodriguez Napier in the amount of $200, and that copy was in your packet. With that, I think everybody sort of saw that. Do I have a motion to accept this? A motion from Ms. Blazer. Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Ford. All right, is there any discussion? If not, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Caleb Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith, Terry Dawson, Jonathan Miles,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
Yes.
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger,
Yes.
David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schubert,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Yes.
All right, next, in the matter of approving the Cocke County Sheriff's Civil Service Policy, do I have a motion to accept that? A motion from Commissioner Fairdoll, do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Esslinger. All right, is there any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. That motion carries. G, in the matter of approval of a copier contract with Sharp Electronics Corporation for Cocke County Board of Education. That copy was enclosed. Do I have a motion to accept that from Commissioner Gillum? Do I have a second? Second from Commissioner Ball. Is there any discussion? All right, no discussion. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Barry Ford,
Yes.
Calvin Ball,
Yes.
Caleb Blazer,
Yes.
Clay Blazer,
Yes.
Norman Smith,
Yes.
Terry Dawson, Jonathan Miles,
Yes.
Jeff Esslinger,
Yes.
Dan Bright,
Thank
Casey Gillum,
Yes.
Forrest Clevenger, David Fairdoll,
Yes.
Kyle Schubert,
Yes.
Gary Carter.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We still got one, under miscellaneous miscellaneous, do I have anything miscellaneous that's there? All right, if not, do I have a motion